Hi friends! Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been a while. For you guys it's been like 2 months. For me, the last thing I filmed that you will have seen, hopefully by the time this video goes up, would have been like before August. And then I was doing a show in August and I did think about vlogging it, but there was no time. And then I got back from that job in August and I set up an Etsy shop and had all of the auditions. And whilst loads of auditions is great, especially when they turn into jobs, which for me a few of them have, so that's nice, I'm kind of set until Christmas, it is not conducive to filming and editing videos for your YouTube channel. So yeah, apologies. I did kind of rush film a couple of videos at the beginning of September, but A, I have not had time to edit them, and B, like I said, they were kind of rushed, or they felt kind of rushed. So I'm probably gonna just re-film those and post them at a later date. But I've really missed filming, so I thought I would film a video for you guys. And the video that I'm going to film is one that I've had boiling in the back of my brain for a while. And that is me reacting to costume historians reacting to the Hamilton costumes. The last few months I've been going into a really hardcore costume history deep dive. Has this meant that I now want to make myself a corset when I've never sewn an item of clothing in my life? Yes. But it also means that I came across Abby Cox's video of her and her friend Nicole Rudolph reacting to the Hamilton costumes. And I was a little bit apprehensive because it's like, you know, costumes for a piece of theatre or film, not necessarily trying to be historically accurate. Will these ladies get that? But then I like massively deep dived into Abby Cox's channel and I was like, yeah, you know what you're talking about. So then I was like, hey, maybe I will give that a watch. And then I thought, hey, maybe I'll give that a watch on the internet. So that's what this video is. I've literally not watched this video, so you're going to get my raw, unadulterated first impression, my virgin reaction, if you will. So yeah, if you're watching this and you're more on the costume history side, even though I am a complete noob to your corner of the internet, all of this is in good fun, and I'm sure that it will be for your entertainment and just my own learning. And if you're a theatre person, maybe you'll learn a bit about, you know, costume history versus theatre costumes. So yeah, hope you're looking forward to it. Hopefully this reaction won't break me like the 5-minute crafts video did, because that was painful. Let's go. Can I figure out how to do screen grabs on my laptop again? And also, can my laptop deal with that? Because I need to get a new laptop. This baby, she just doesn't have the power. She's not strong enough. Get the headphones in. 18th century costume historians react to Hamilton, featuring some wild roasting. I will also link this video in the description because obviously I'm just going to edit in the bits that are interesting, so I'm not trying to steal anyone's content, but like, I'm sure, I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure it is good, so watch the whole video and give Abby some love. She does not need my help, but doesn't mean I'm not gonna give it. Ow, 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 that's really loud, that's really loud, that's really loud, that's really loud, that's really loud. You know what, we're just gonna start this whole video again, as in like the video I'm reacting to.
All right, hello everyone and welcome back. Nicole's here. Hi. She is also wearing a hand-sewn 18th century men's shirt for this, so she's also just...
If you don't know who these two people are, Abby, she's obviously a dress historian, so is Nicole, but Nicole specializes in shoes, which is like really cool and looks like a lot of work. I am envious. I just want to learn all of the crafting things, to be honest. I'm never going to be able to learn how to make shoes, but if I could make my own shoes, that would be cool.
We are both former theater kids. We are dress historians with specialties in the 18th century.
I love how theater kids just seem to be everywhere. Like, we just sprinkle ourselves around, you know?
But the breeches fit appropriately.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't see if they have the diaper butt, but...
I don't even know what a diaper butt is, but I think I could probably figure it out. I have questions about that.
Did they do shots in the 18th century?
I don't think so. I was just wondering.
Did they do shots in the
Shot
18th
in the
century?
18th century.
The lacing is contentious, apparently.
I don't know why they did it, because that's their way in and out of a costume.
I would have preferred that they had had them spiral laced.
Everyone has strong opinions about lacing, so I think it's like pre-Victorian, it should be spiral laced, and then Victorian-y, they then do the crisscross lacing. But for like your kind of numpty, but like your everyday non-costume person, obviously we're just so used to the whole crisscross lacing, so people use it everywhere. As do Hamilton, apparently.
Why?
Okay, they didn't like Eliza getting married. Oh my god. Okay.
I know, dogs! It's so terrible! Why would you put a veil on her?
Thing is, I don't know enough to know why the veil is making them so mad. Is it because veils didn't exist in the late 18th century? Is that the issue? I honestly don't know. Is it just the way the veil was used? I don't know why they're so mad. It's gotta be that they didn't exist, right? Devil's advocate is a very simple, easy way to signify, oh, we're getting married now. Putting a veil on a woman's head, that image screams bride no matter what else she's wearing. Like, you don't have to put her in white. You don't have to create a church set. Much as their ire may be justified, from a direction theatrical standpoint, having to get across the idea that they've got married so quickly, I can see why the choice was made.
So fast. It's in a French accent.
I'd be interested if anyone is actually French or speaks fluent French and knows what a French accent is meant to sound like, what they would think of the French accents in either the Broadway or West End productions of Hamilton, because I can't tell the difference. Like, it sounds pretty French to me, but I'm always like, is it though? I'm curious to know how good the French accents actually are. That's just me.
I think what Lafayette wore when he visited America in like 18.
Whoa, go back. Hang on. Like, literally, that is so accurate. I mean, it's not perfect. They've got the little, like, tassel-y things on the shoulder, which the painting doesn't have, but like, if you were cosplaying as that painting of Lafayette, you would wear what the Hamilton Lafayette is wearing. That's insane. That is so good. That's actually really cool. I'm enjoying that a lot.
What? It's spitting.
Leave the guy alone. Like, people spit when they're performing, all right? Like, the last thing you want to do is be singing a song with dry mouth. Leave him alone. It's like that meme with the guy going, "Leave Britney alone" back in the day. That's what this is right now.
So why is Hamilton in like, 70s, early 80s, and now we have Burr in like 90s?
So they're talking about how Burr and Hamilton have slightly different decades of costume in terms of the designs of their coats. I wonder if part of that's because Hamilton covers such a broad span of time, having the blending of the different decades, either in one costume taking elements from different decades or having characters with slightly different decades of dress, can kind of help blur the lines when you're traveling through decades so quickly. I'd eat cookies if it was the interval.
What do you think?
Also, side note, just while it's in my head, why do Americans call the interval intermission and then we call the interval the interval? I might look that up because I'm feeling very nerdy. Editing me, if you want to answer, then you can.
Because like that's what Leslie Odom Jr. is doing so well. It's like he's wearing those clothes. They're not wearing him. But Miranda is, you can tell he's not as comfy.
I think that's a really interesting point. I'll just summarize in period costume. Because of the way that it's fit and it's built, you kind of have to stand a different way and move in a different way. Firstly, to be comfortable, and secondly, to, I guess, make the clothes look as good as possible in terms of like, so you look like you're wearing the clothes because you're comfortable in the clothes. In terms of the fit being not great, if you're used to making modern clothes as costume, and you know that more so than the average person, a performer in a show is going to have a wider range of movement. So you're used to adapting those modern clothes to allow for that extra movement, even if you can't use things like stretch fabrics. Period clothing was fit in a different way, and so you create more freedom of movement in the clothing in different ways. For example, they said something about the armscye, which is like the armhole where you attach the sleeves onto. Rather than making the armscye really low and getting movement that way, which is what they've done in the Hamilton costumes, Nicole was saying that all you've got to do is bring the armscye in towards kind of the neck, I guess. I don't know if that's the technical way you describe it, but that's what I think she was saying. And then by doing that, you then get the range of movement while still having a tight fit on the armscye in terms of underneath the arm into the armpit. But obviously in modern clothing, you don't do that. So if you're a costume maker who's used to modern costume designs and working either with sourcing modern clothing and adapting it or just making modern clothes from scratch, you're gonna do what you know, right? You're like, okay, they need to be able to like swing their arms around. We need to make the arm size bigger, even though it's not historically accurate. So I think that's where the differences in what the costumes look like versus what actual clothing of the time would look like in terms of fit. I think that's where it's coming from. Oh, it's okay, wrist. We are halfway through this video. It's all good.
Velvet waistcoat. See, I fully
They like
encourage
velvet.
the, like,
Fashion-wise, he would have been ahead of the loop because he would have been in France. Like, full out, like
I would have liked that actually. I think that would have been a costume improvement as well. I think they should have kept like the red velvet with that, but like yeah, no, that looks way more dapper than Jefferson wears in the show. Yeah, you're right there. I'll give you ladies there with that hat as well. If it's not with that hat, I don't want to know. But also they are making a good point that like France was the epicenter of fashion up until incredibly recently, and so yeah, he would have been on top of the latest fashions. So yeah.
One of these 17th century weird ass sleeve things happening.
I think the dress is upsetting them more than the affair. Just the pain on Abby's face. The pain on Abby's face. And Nicole is just like, well, here we are.
Okay, so you want to do red because she's a slut.
But again, to play devil's advocate, not in a slut-shamey way, it's just kind of in our visual vocabulary. Hopefully it's changing, but like the veil, as much as they hated the veil, is like instant bride, red, instant Scarlet Woman, you know? Whether that's fair or not.
I think if they had put her actually in like a chemise gown, the sophisticated humor of putting her in a gown that is referred to as also an undergarment would have been like, we would have appreciated that.
I understand why you guys would have appreciated it, but like your average Joe who's been dragged along on the family outing to Broadway and he'd rather, or she would rather be at home doing anything else, they're not gonna get that reference. Like, I get it, but people are gonna see white and they're gonna be like, oh, pure virginal. The visual language in the broader scope is just not going to be the same with that. I feel for you, because you're right, like that would be a far more interesting choice. Like that would be something in like a TV series, like not Bridgerton, because Bridgerton doesn't go for historical accuracy, but like something a la Bridgerton, something like a play, maybe something where you have more time to tell that story. We only see Mariah Reynolds in the song No to This, so like in a very short space of time, you need to get across to the audience what she is and who she is. You want to kind of foreshadow that so they don't feel like they've got whiplash when she's suddenly like, yes, let's have sex, Hamilton. She's a one-dimensional character in this show, in this moment, so you don't have the time to do that.
A pun? Yeah, she had an underpetticoat underneath of it because it was so sheer and it was red.
Oh, I spoke too soon, having sheer red with under stuff or sheer red underneath. That could be a compromise, but it would depend on the rest of the design, like how would that work with the lighting and things like that. If it wasn't clear enough that the back row of the grand or the balcony could catch it, then you might as well not. But that's a very good point. I did not realize that. I should have let them finish talking.
It would put her apart from the sisters even more so.
Loose and not structured.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair point as well, giving her a less structured dress so she's not like the rest of the women in the show. That could also work. Maybe there's a way to do like a lingerie frilly dress, but make it red instead of white. So you have the unstructured, you have the hint to the lingerie dress, which if you're in the know, you're like, oh yeah, they're basically undergarments worn as overgarments. But you still have the striking redness for the, and I'm not, it sounds like I'm pro red equals slut. I'm not pro red equals slut, and I'm not pro slut as a word, but I've said it like a gazillion times at this point. I'm not saying that women who have sex a lot wear red. I'm saying that culturally in the Western world, that is still like part of our kind of visual vocabulary when it comes to visual storytelling. Ergo, if you're wanting to tell that story incredibly quickly in a 3-minute song, it's really helpful.
Peggy has like an evil twin.
Yes, this is Peggy's evil twin.
Peggy has an evil twin.
Hey guys, they had glass in the 18th century. Just saying.
They had glass in the 18th century. Yeah, no, that was a big thing, wasn't it? Because that was one of the reasons that like so many scientific advances in terms of experimentation happened in the Western world, is because we had glass, and glass is inert. So we could put things in test tubes and be like, oh, I've discovered this weird chemical. I'm pretty sure that's accurate, and I've heard of that somewhere. I've probably heard it on QI, that's where I get most of my information. And I think this is the difficult thing when you're talking about art depicting history, is like how much do you go for like what's actually historically accurate versus what the audience will look at and be like, oh yeah, this is where we are. It's like the Tiffany problem, like Tiffany being a really popular not middle-aged name as in like middle-aged ladies, but like in the Middle Ages, Tiffany was a really popular name for girls. But like if you were doing some kind of medieval restoration drama, not restoration drama because that sounds like actual restoration drama, you know what I mean? I can't talk. If you were doing a recreation of like Robin Hood or whatever, and you wanted to add in another female character, not just Maid Marian, and you called her Tiffany, everyone would be like, why the hell is she called Tiffany? Like, surely she should be called Guinevere or something, even though Tiffany would be accurate. I think it's a similar thing. I think the glass thing is stupid. I'm not using this as an excuse. They could have just given them glass. But I think that can be a trap that storytellers, let's say, can fall into, of being like so het up on like, it has to be oldie worldy. What are the oldie worldy things that we only had in olden times? And it's like stuff that we have today. Some of it was also around back then, like glass. They love roasting George III. He hasn't even done anything. The man has just walked on stage. He doesn't even have a spitty face, and they're just cackling.
I was wondering how
Poor
they're gonna like
George.
progress.
Oh, burn tune.
It's supposed to be 90s. I would have preferred her sleeves be a little bit longer.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
But I'm kind of like, if the things that you're griping about are like the length of sleeves and the way things are fit, it makes me think that like the costume designers really did try to make things as accurate as possible. Like, it's not that they were like, oh, we'll just slap together some old-timey post-war of independence / pre-war of independence like stuff together. Even if it was purely aesthetics, like that length of sleeve just for us visually doesn't look right, even though it is accurate. Like, that's where I'm feeling like these deviations are probably coming from. And practical things like lacing at the back so it's easier to get out the dress with a dresser, you know?
We're not getting enough boob.
It's not very flattering.
Like, yeah,
It
it's
could be
like
really pretty.
It's like more boob, longer sleeves.
But then also, is the reason that there's not enough boob because she's not wearing the undergarments of the Regency era? Because that's the thing, up until modern clothing, I'm sounding like I'm a complete expert. I'm not, I've just watched a lot of YouTube recently. The way you get the silhouette is in the undergarments, is the stays, in this case, and then later on in the Victorian era, in the corset. So if she's not wearing stays, which I doubt she is, then she's not gonna have the boobage. So she's gonna have just like whatever her generic undergarments are, that like show bra, show pants, that is going to be comfortable to wear for the whole show. So she won't be able to make the specific silhouette of each era because she's not going to completely change out of her bra into a pair of Regency stays. You know, she's going to wear this dress in this song and that's it. It wouldn't make sense to be like, okay, we want to get the right boob ratio for this dress and the era that it's meant to be suggesting. So like completely change your undergarments for this one song. Oh my God, are they actually... Abby's actually crying. To be fair, when I saw this, I cried. This whole section from like Burn through to End of Uptown, I was crying.
We need to talk about her sleeves later.
We can talk about her sleeves later. Yeah, no, this is not a point in the show where we're thinking about the costume. This is the point where we're crying our eyes out because Philip is dying. Spoilers. Oh, Abby! Oh, sweet summer child. It's really sad though. It's really sad. Oh, Philip is Sue. She's heartbroken.
They're way too big. Yeah, she's gone like
I'm sorry. That's not me laughing at. That's not me laughing at Abby's pain or emotion. It's just like the fact she was so in the moment, and then like it passes to the next scene, and she's just like, they're way too big. It's like, I'm devastated emotionally with the storytelling, but like the sleeves are too big, girl. What you doing? That was funny. Oh no, that isn't the only time she wears that dress. She wears it at the end. I didn't realize.
choices were made.
Some of them good choices.
Research was definitely done.
Yes.
I agree. Research was done. Oh, they're going to talk about the veil. I want to see what the problem was because there was just anger and rage and sadness, and they didn't actually explain.
Yeah, I kind of wish that there had been a very gradual shift through the whole thing, so it shows a slow adjustment, but at no point does it just suddenly go, bam! 1820s with giant sleeves, even though it's still 1800. Like,
yeah.
I agree with Nicole on that. Even if your average person would not understand, like, oh, that's clearly a this decade silhouette. Oh, and now we're into this decade silhouette. Just by being accurate to what those changes were and showing that shift, I think on a subconscious level, people would pick up the passage of time.
I didn't like how childlike, soft, and innocent. The costume did nothing to help that progression.
Yeah, because it would have been nice to see her as she's like, this is the story I'm telling, suddenly move into a outfit that looks unlike everyone else's.
I like that idea. I wonder if this keeping her in the baby blue is just so there's a very clear, especially at the beginning when you see the three sisters, it's like blue is Eliza, reddy orange is Angelica, and yellow is Peggy, and then obviously red is Mariah Reynolds. Because there are so few women in this show, in terms of like named women, just making it really, really clear for the audience. I think they could have gone into maybe a different shade of blue. So she starts off in the lighter kind of baby blue. When I saw it, I felt like it was more of a bluey green, but whatever, blue. Maybe from like Burn, maybe the sash that was around her, like the Empire waistline, maybe that could have been a dark blue sash. When I watched it, I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like it needed that necessarily. I thought there was enough going on with her character that you didn't need to reflect it in the costume, but also, you know, you can add layers to things, definitely. I don't know why I'm still watching this. It's definitely at the end.
Okay. Bye.
I'm just gonna stop there because I don't need to watch the outtakes of the puppies, and we're gonna stop recording. Oh, I've got to press over there. Right, we've stopped recording. Yeah, stop recording. Oh my god! Like, what is wrong with this? So, like, Windows Alt R. Jesus! How is it that difficult to just stop recording a thing? Oh my goodness, right. So that was me reacting to costume historians, reacting to Hamilton costumes. That was really interesting. I wish they had spoken more about the ensemble costumes. And I understand why they didn't, because they were looking at how historically accurate the costumes were, and the ensemble costumes obviously are not historically accurate at all, because the ensemble need to like dance and shizzle. So it was clearly just a compromise on what looks like it's referencing the period, but that these people can still move in. So I understand why they didn't, but it would have been really interesting to have someone talk about where the inspiration for that came from, which bits are historically accurate and which bits have been tweaked. Bernadette Banner does have a talking to the designer of the Hamilton costume. So if you want to see me either react to that or just watch and talk about that, then let me know, because maybe that's where those conversations are had. It was really interesting with them talking about the gentlemen's coats. She was saying how the men's costumes did a better job of showing the gradual progression of fashion through the eras. I'm not surprised that that's the case. The men are way bigger characters than the women, and we see them a lot more, so there's a lot more scope to show that progression. Whereas with the women, not that the women are small parts by any means, I just realised I haven't been staying hydrated, but there's less scope to show the progression. I think part of that is just through the fact that we don't see them as often, and so when there are changes, potentially there are bigger changes, and the changes are kind of more character driven because we don't see their character through their stage time as much because they're not on stage as much, and we're seeing them in snippets as part of Hamilton's life. Whereas with the men, we see quite a lot of them and we get to know them quite well, so we don't need to use the costume as a device to get across their characters. I wonder also if part of it is to do with people having very set ideas about women's fashion, falling into the trap of we need to show this type of dress because we're basically in this era, like the smocked kind of Regency thing, even though they were saying the sleeves weren't right. Empire line, you know, it's like the late 1700s, early 1800s. Maybe, I don't know if this is true, but maybe not much more thought was gone into, yeah, but how specific are we going with this? Because the silhouettes are so clear in our kind of cultural consciousness when it comes to Western women's historical fashion. When you're looking at any costuming, and I think Abby said a similar thing when she spoke about the Bridgerton costumes, is like, what are you going for? Bridgerton's clearly going for fantasy, so it would be unfair to look at it through the lens of historical accuracy because that's not what it's going for. When it comes to particularly theatre, because in a 2.5 hour show, you need to be able to get in and get out of costumes if you've got multiple costumes, sometimes very, very quickly. Those costumes need to put up with regular wear and tear 6 days a week, 8 shows a week, being under bright lights, you know, being sweated in, all of that stuff. And alongside kind of their durability, they also have to tell a visual story. Again, because people at the back, they might not be able to hear all of the lyrics. They should be able to if, you know, diction is good, but like they might not necessarily catch everything. And so you need to be able to visually tell parts of the story as well as through the text. And that's why costuming is so important, because you might not immediately gather from the text because you're so far away who someone is, but just from visually they are dressed completely differently from the other people we've seen before. You know that they're a new character, especially when you're double casting and the actor is the same. But also on top of that, the fact that Abby and Nicole were able to be so nitpicky kind of shows that they did do their research. And again, I think probably most of the decisions that were made that weren't historically accurate were probably to do with character choices, design choices in terms of the full look of the show and how they fit in, and in terms of fit, just the way that costume is usually constructed, and costume designers coming up with solutions for fit problems or fit requirements with modern solutions, i.e. making things more roomy, lower arms, eyes instead of taking it out of the shoulder, things like that. Modern solutions to fit problems when it comes to costume that needs to be moved in performance. I would really, really love to see a breakdown of the 6 costumes. Obviously, it wouldn't be in terms of historical accuracy because they're not, but just like where the inspiration comes from. I don't know enough about costume history to do it myself, but like, unless I just spend like the next year just looking up Tudor dress, and then I'm just like, well, I can see this come from here. But like, I would find that really, really interesting to see. But yeah, so that's gonna be the end of this video for now. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully I love how I'm like, I've not had time to make videos, so I filmed this video that is going to take a lot of editing. I hate myself. But anyway, once you see this, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing. Would love to have you on the channel. Come on down. We have a great time filming videos that will require a lot of editing. Editing me, I am so sorry. I'm here for you. I feel for you. I love you. Stay tuned for more theatre content from a UK perspective, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, friends!